Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's nice to see you again in a live format. I've missed these wee streams. I've missed doing content this week. It's been hard, obviously, being away in Madrid. I'm now back from Madrid, so it's time to get back into the normal format of videos, live streams, etc. Thank you for sticking around with me. Thank you for your patience. I know that my match reaction, or my just general reaction to the Madrid game on Tuesday was quite late, but you've all welcomed it with open arms. I think that it shut up the folk that support other sides who were desperate to hear my views on it. But we're here tonight to do a live stream, so thank you to everybody who's currently tuning in. If you're coming in late, then welcome. I can see Kean, I can see Craig, I can see Ellen, I can see Elliot, I can see John. Nice to see you all in the chat. Hello. The late news, I was going to say the late news. The news came out a little bit later today, so I was going to go along with a video format as normal for my Friday night here, but the news from the press conference and the interviews all dropped a little bit later than I've liked. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we just sit down and do a live stream for tonight and have a bit of a gab, get your questions, I'll give you my answers, my opinions, and we can talk through it all, because the bad news just keeps coming in for Celtic. That injury update, which looks to just start getting better, gets worse. We're going to talk about that today. I'll answer a couple of questions first, though, because this is nice. I like getting personal. You know, I like getting personal. Blake said, apart from the game, how was Madrid? Cold. Very cold. Freezing, in fact. I went out on Sunday night, so I left Monday morning. I went out on Sunday night. I was like, right, I need to go and get a nice wee thin jacket to take to Madrid, because I was like, the jacket that I've got is too thick. I'll be roasting, walking about, because you do about 20,000 steps a day on these trips. So I'll be sweating if I wear my bubble jacket. I need to go and buy a thin one. So I went out, ended up spending 90 quid on a jacket. It was freezing. I was raging. Absolutely raging. I didn't expect it to be as cold as it actually was. So it was a cold trip. Madrid as a city, you know, I wouldn't rush back. I must say, I was quite disappointed with Madrid as a city. We'd done the tour of the Bernabeu on the Tuesday morning, and it was rotten. Not the stadium itself. The stadium is obviously very, very impressive. Brilliant stadium, one of the best in the world. Seeing it all renovated and that was class as well. And they couldn't get you out quick enough. You know, usually when you do these stadium tours, you go and have like, oh, you see the changing rooms, you see the tunnel, you a bit of history of the club, you see the injury room, you see all the media room and stuff like that, you see everything. Nope. You walk through the trophy room, which is a hall filled with hundreds of people because it's that busy. They sit you in one section of the stadium, up in the second tier, and that's you. You're out. That's it. It was terrible. So, you know, it was a good trip. I had a few beverages, a good laugh. The result wasn't great. It wasn't the worst trip in the world. But Madrid, as I say, I wouldn't rush back, Blake. I wouldn't rush back. But thank you for asking. Something like shows the jacket. It's down the stairs somewhere. It's just a black North Face jacket, you know, just a wee thin one. I was like that to my pal. I went up the fort on the Sunday night. I said, I'm not spending any more than 50 quid. I'm not spending any more than 50 quid in a jacket. 90 quid. I couldn't find anything. It was the only one I could find that was decent. But anyway, let's finally talk about Celtic, shall we? Let's finally get into the news, because I know some of you will just be tuning in going, right, Ryan, let's get on with things. And Ellen put it very nicely at the top of the show. Awful news about Dyson. Yep. We can say that again. Awful news about Dyson MAEDA. We're going to bring this up on screen now. Brendan Rodgers revealing a little bit earlier on today that as a result of the challenge he got sent off for, it looks like he's sprained his medial knee ligament. So he will be out for up to 6 weeks, which isn't great. Brendan Rodgers confirming that he's out. I did hear about half an hour or an hour before the interview, the press conference, I did hear from someone that he was going to be out for 6 weeks, and it was going to get confirmed at the press conference. I was like, hopefully not. I'm just going to cross my fingers. Then bang, within the next half hour or hour, Brendan Rodgers came out and confirmed it, that he's out for 6 weeks, which is awful news for us, considering we are already missing one of our main three attacking players in Liel Abada. We are now missing Dyson MAEDA, going into a very tough run of games between now and the January transfer window. You know, we've got a lot of big games. We have got a couple of big Champions League games where we need results. I guess the only positive that you can take from it is he was suspended for the Lazio game anyway. So that's, you know, he's not exactly missing anything there because he was already out. But we can't paint the picture in any other way and say that as a negative for Celtic. Now, Dyson MAEDA is quite a divisive figure a player that has a kind of split opinion between the Celtic support. Some people really like him, some people really dislike him, they don't think he's good enough. I've seen some wild takes on Twitter this afternoon since the news was confirmed by Brendan Rodgers, but you can't deny that he's integral to what we try and do at the moment. He's one of the players who I think have been very important in that transition between Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers. Ultimately, he is one of the main three attackers. He's one of the first names on the team sheet when it comes to the final third of the park. And now he's going to be out for 6 weeks. It's so annoying in the manner that it's happened. You know, the fact that it was due to a silly tackle which resulted in him being sent off unrightfully, and now it's led to a 6-week injury as well. It's just really frustrating how it's happened. And Blake's put it better. You know, we can't neglect the work ethic and the pressure, the enthusiasm that Daizen Maeda brings to the team. And whatever your opinion is on the technical ability of Liel Abada, he still does have... It's not as if he doesn't have technical ability. He's scored some crackers. And he's been very important into making good goals as well. The pace that he uses to bomb up one of those wings, whether he's playing on the left or the right, he's an important figure in this team. And that's, you don't want to lose depth in these areas, because now we have to be realistic in evaluating our options beyond Daizen Maeda. We're not in the strongest place. Let's not be real. So I'm going to take off Brendan from the screen for a moment. Nice to see you, Cal. It was a pleasure bumping into you in Madrid, by the way. I hope you enjoyed yourself, lad. So now we've got to talk about what happens next with Daizen Maeda being out for the next 6 weeks. Who takes his place? What is the best front three possible? Now, the lucky thing is we still have Palma, we still have Kyogo. We might not have Palma for Lazio right enough, but we have Palma and we have Kyogo as it stands for the next 6 weeks. Touch wood, they don't get injured either, which is still two of the strongest front three I think we have at the moment. On that right-hand side, though, who is going to play? Is it going to be James Forrest? Are they going to try and get Marco Tilio in? Are they going to try and get him ready? Are they going to bring in Mikey Johnson and maybe move Palma over to the right? Or are they going to give Rocco Vata a chance, which some people have suggested? Let me tell you right now, boys. And Yang as well. I forgot about Yang. We've got Yang as well. But let me tell you right now. Be prepared to see a lot of James Forrest over the next few weeks, lads, because it's going to happen. He might not start a lot of games, but you're going to see quite a bit of James Forrest, and I know how much that angers the Celtic support. We're going to see a bit of him. But that, this is where we need to sit down for a minute and talk about the recruitment at Celtic. I mean, Sean has put it perfectly. We need to talk about this for a minute, because Abada's injured, right? And obviously now Maeda's injured. But the fact that we are talking about Forrest, Johnston, Yang, Tilio, and Vata as the options now to come into a front three, that's poor. Forrest, arguably, is well past his days of being a Celtic player. A lot of people would tell you that. A lot of people don't think he should still be involved. That's that. Johnston, like Forrest, well past the days of being a Celtic player. He ain't good enough. Tilio, God knows what's happening. Does he even exist? Yang, a young boy from Korea who is very raw still. And Vata, who quite clearly is being held back in the B team for one reason or another. And you've also got to remember with the B team, a lot of people are like, oh, let's get Vata in. I think the Celtic B team are like 11th in the Lowland League at the minute. They're not doing that well. And if you're not cutting the bread at that level, I mean, are you ready for the steep jump coming up here? We have not left ourselves in a great position when it comes to covering the front three. I think that going back the way, we have depth. We have depth in centre midfield. We have depth in centre back. Still need depth at full back. But we have left ourselves awfully scarce and thin in the front three. And very kind of ambitiously thinking as well. The fact that Yang and Tilio, we don't have a full picture painted of them yet, especially Tilio. So we're not in the greatest position right now when it comes to just selecting that like-for-like replacement. Now, we should be in a position, and it goes down. Look, listen, you've got to be real as well about this. If Celtic had any luck, it'd be bad luck. That's the only luck we do have at the minute, is bad luck. Because we should have Abada fit as well. And if Maeda dropped out, it'd be simple. It'd be Abada, Kyogo and Palma, and that's still a really good front three to have. But I just think that across that front line, we do not have the strongest options for a team that has been as successful as they've been over the last few years. And for as ambitious as they should be as a football club, we should have a better options. We've not covered ourselves in glory when it comes to the selections outside of the strongest 3 or 4 attackers at this club. And that's just the honest truth. I'm not writing players off. I'm not saying Yang or Tilly or whoever won't be good enough, or because I'm talking about the front 3. So, I'm not saying anything like that, but we just haven't left ourselves in the greatest position, which is quite frustrating. Very simply put, oh God, not Mikey Johnson. Exactly. This is scary to think about, because we are going to go now to Lazio without MAEDA, without Palma, because they're both suspended and Maeda's injured. What is going to be the front 3 against Lazio? It's terrifying to think about, because I like Yang. I think we've seen good glimpses of him, but I'm seeing a lot of people talk about 5-3-2, so I'll come to that in a minute. Thank you to Ooga Booga for the $4.99. It says, when you shaving that glorious beard again, Ryan? I'm going to get it trimmed soon, but I'm never shaving it again. Never, ever, ever. I will cry if we start Mikey and Forrest against Lazio. Also, get more career mode vids up. Well, the international break is coming, lads, so don't worry. There probably will be more career mode coming up when we're stuck for content. But thank you for the donation. It's very much appreciated. A lot of people saying, including Elliot here, I'm just going to use his comments. I've seen a few people who've got Anglo and Ayrshire as well, saying we might switch to the 5-3-2 and put Palma and Kyogo up front, which domestically I think is probably an easy thing to do. I think we could do that. I think we could get away with it. It would work. I think that Brendan Rodgers is good enough a manager to get that across. And listen, I don't think that as a manager either he's one-dimensional. I don't think we just simply work on one tactic at Lennox Town. You know, we are there to kind of expand our game beyond one system. We've got to be prepared for different situations. They will have played in different shapes, different formations behind the scenes. So there is that possibility. He could go 5-3-2. I personally wouldn't be against it. It wouldn't be my first choice either, because I like us playing with the 3-man midfield and the 3-man attack. I like it. I just think it works well for us. I think that when you suddenly put 2 up front, that's a bit of an adjustment. And I think that Kyogo especially, and this isn't a slight on Kyogo, I'm not saying he's not good enough and he wouldn't be able to do it, but Kyogo has been so used to playing as that one striker. I almost feel like, and you might not agree with me here, but when I've been at Celtic Park over the last 2 or 3 years since Kyogo came to Celtic, in the second half, if we've ever tried to pair Kyogo up with someone, I feel like Kyogo's never as effective. That's just my own personal opinion. He has to change his role. He usually sits a bit deeper, and I just don't think it suits him. So 5-3-2 to me, like domestically, I'm like, yeah, do you know what, that would be fine. I think that would do the job, but I just think that you lose an awful lot of what we're good at. But then again, you have to replace what you're missing in Dyson Maeda, and he's a big part of that kind of 4-3-3. Forrest might be done, but still a better goal threat than Maeda. Is he? Maybe, arguably, I suppose, but don't know. Thinking back to Livy when Maeda scored that absolute cracker. As long as he's back in time for the Rangers game, says Chill Pill. We need more experience in our squad. Absolutely, I agree with that. I feel like I would like to have more players. And I'm not talking 33, 34-year-old players or anything, but just players who have, you know, been solid throughout their careers and had a bit more than 1 or 2 years in senior sides and they've played in Europe or whatever. I would like that if it's possible. So yeah. Let's see, Ross Buffy says, I think Kyogo and O up top with Palma sitting in behind them. Cal and Matt in midfield. Greg Taylor and AJ out wide and CZV Skills and Phillips. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's so many. It's easy for us as fans to sit here and give out our fantasy predictions and what we could do. It's just if Brendan Rodgers wants to do that and if he thinks the team are ready for that. I think that there's too many young players in there as well that might not be ready for a drastic shift in system. So we just need to wait and see. I think he will stick 4-3-3. I really do. I think he'll stick to that system for now. And if it's dry, if it doesn't work against Aberdeen on Sunday, he'll obviously need to change as the game progresses. But he'll need to change as the month progresses as well, because we can't just sit there and dry up. Well, after this, it's international break anyway, so next month. But yeah. So yeah, it was bad news for Dyson Maeda. We will talk a little bit about it in more depth tomorrow when I do my match preview video, but it's not great news for Celtic. So I just want to go. I'm gonna use share screen here as well. I just want to have a look at. I don't know if Transfermarkt will be updated. I'm gonna try and bring it up on screen because Transfermarkt do be a handy tool. Accept your cookies, thanks. So this is the situation we're currently looking at. Apparently, You can tell me if there's any missing. Ignore your hemorrhoids. Oh, come on. Why do hemorrhoids need to be on my screen? That's just... Can I zoom in? Haha. Sorry you had to all see that. Now we've got no more blue pills. This is always great when you go live, isn't it? Hatate and Abada being out, 2 of your first team players. Then throw in MAEDA, who's not been added to this website yet. MAEDA, Hatate and Abada being missing. That's 3 of our starting 11. 3 of our nailed on starting 11 out injured. Liam Scales, by the way, on the risk of a suspension. I never knew that, so he's got to watch his cell. Gets another yellow, he'll be out. But yeah, not an ideal situation to be in just now. Bad news for Dyson Maeda. I wish him the best with his recovery, because we need him back. We do. We really do need him back. So I love how he's laughing away at the adverts I'm getting on the side of my screen. Right, what should we talk about next then? I'm going to get in a Q&A in a couple of minutes' time. We've got a couple of other stories to run through. It seems that Celtic and the Green Brigade are still going statement for statement to try and come to some form of resolution. I think that the board need to get the finger out and have a dialogue. They've got time to do that during this international break. That's been coming up a lot today. The Green Brigade themselves put out in their statement that they're fed up of the statement table tennis, or the statement tennis as they called it. And it must be tiresome, I don't like the direction, the way that the Celtic board are going about it, trying to create a divide. It's been really, really weird. I hope that's sorted soon. On top of that, talking about the Celtic board, they've put out there... We'll come on to that in a second, Elliot, because I do want to talk about that. The Celtic... Let's get this up, because I was howling at this morning. My God. Right, let's get a share screen going, actually. Do you know what? I want to talk about this a little bit, because... We've all seen it probably by now, and I was laughing. Where is Celtic's Twitter? Why can I not find Celtic's Twitter? We've got to talk about this before I get into a Q&A. Oh my God, I can't type Celtic FC. But where is Celtic? The SLOs here, the tickets to beat. There we fucking go. It's like as if they blocked me or something. That would be some laugh. Right, let's get Celtic up on screen here for a minute, because my God, and then we'll get into your questions and such. Right, so Celtic have announced today that it's celebrating 20 years of the Player of the Year Awards, that they're going to host the Player of the Year Awards at the Hydro, which is a tall lot. I mean, they're never going to sell it out. Well, they might. I'm going to go through this in a minute. So, Celtic, who have come under... And this is what I just think Celtic are really, really bad at timing these things. With everything that's going on, that's, let's be real, negative at the club at the minute. The dispute between... a segment of supporters and the club. A lot of fans been pissed off after getting beat 6-0 and pinning it on the board for the lack of spending. Well, here's the board coming for the next money grab right here. They're advertising tickets for the Hydro on May 12, 2024 for the Celtic Player of the Year ceremony. Now, the last Celtic event that I went to in the Hydro was the night with Scott Brown earlier this year. It was dreadful. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I'm actually lying. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, though. And I think everybody in the building kind of knew it that night. And it wasn't anything to do with Scott Brown or the host or anything. It was just, the crowd kept shouting. It was, I don't know, it just didn't live up to any expectations. So they've decided to return to the Hydro. They didn't sell it out for a night with Scott Brown. So they're probably not going to sell it out for this. Right? Tickets, I believe, right? So I don't know if I'll be able to go and buy... Yeah, I can go and look at tickets, right? The cheapest ticket in the building for this Player of the Year ceremony is 30 quid. And they're not opening the top section. They know they're not going to sell it out, right? They know. You're not even seeing my screen right now. Hold on, I'll get it back up. Because it makes me laugh. I'm going to get on to the biggest laughing point in a minute. Yeah, exactly, Ooga Booga. I think we paid about £50 for our tickets that night to sit up like here. And everybody was shouting. It was a terrible night. I didn't enjoy myself at all. Right, but this is the seating map for this Player of the Year ceremony. It's the first time they're just inviting the public to come. Usually it's like invitation only. They have it in a hotel, but because this is the 20th anniversary, they've decided, let's get your money, which we're not going to spend on any players, by the way, but let's get your money. To sit in the worst seats in the house, you're looking at 30 quid. It says £28.95, but at the time of booking fee and that's add on, 30 quid for the worst seats in the building. 30 quid. If you want to sit down here anywhere, 4 seats, £65 for those ones. All these ones seem to be gone. They've all went either that or they'll be reserved, won't they, for like players and family. So wherever the public, this is like, let's just say this is the best seat available right here. £65. 65 quid. if I was paying 65 quid to go to the Player of the Year ceremony, I'd be wanting to win the award myself. That is a joke. 65 quid. I don't know why they've bothered to put it in the Hydro. I'm not going to lie. I think that it's poorly timed, in my opinion. It's just, after all the criticism that the club have seen this week about not spending enough money, not being ambitious enough in Europe, they have put out something for the first time in order to try and get more money for the supporters, when they've already put out 4 kits this season. 4. And there's a 5th coming, by the way. So 5 tops are coming out this season. 5 tops at 70 quid a pop, with thousands buying them. Season tickets that went up in price, not by much, but they went up in price as well. They've put out, numerous different things in the club store, and now there's this. So that's fantastic. Yeah, I won't be there. Well, unless I get a press ticket, I tell you, I won't be there. I'm not spending money on it. Listen, it might be a good night, but to pay 65 quid to watch a Player of the Year ceremony, it wouldn't be me. It would not be me. I tell you that. I expected to go in like a suit as well. Like, that's the thing. Got to remember, these things aren't cheap. You're spending £65 a ticket. A pint at the Hydro's like 8 quid. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, that was one of the other big bits of news from today. Aside from that, not much else. I wanted to bring up what Elliot. So there's apparently a blackout kit coming. Lou, if anybody doesn't know, there's apparently a blackout kit coming. Footy Headlines reported on it. I'm going to go and get it up and I'll read it to you. Footy Headlines reported on it last week, talking about how certain Adidas clubs are getting a blackout kit. Celtic being one of those teams. I can't actually find the article now. But yeah, we're getting a 5th kit, apparently. I don't know if it's a kit or a training range, but by the way the article's going, it looks as though it's another kit coming out. So that's just hilarious to me. 5 kits in 1 year. And we won't wear it either. I'm going to see if I can find this article. If I could find it, that'd be great. I can't seem to see it anywhere just now. I put it in my group chat last week, but yeah, apparently Adidas are getting some blackout kits. Let's see, Adidas blackout kits. Would be ideal if I could find it, but I don't think I'm going to. I don't. Oh wait. Aha. I think I found it. I think I found the article. I think we're onto one here. Yeah, well, it wasn't an article. It was a post. So this is so people are like, what's a blackout kit? Basically, where everything is black. Now it might be a training range. Don't take my word for it. Like, it might not be a kit, but there you go. Just apparently Manchester United, Arsenal, and Celtic are all getting them. It could be a training range. So more money though. More money into the pockets of the club, which is fantastic. Right, let's get on to Q&A. I've spoke for enough. I've rambled to talk about money and all the rest of it. I want to talk to you guys. I want to get your questions and answers about Celtic. I'm going to start with what Elliot brought up earlier. What do you make of Brendan Rodgers' comments on VAR? Obviously, I've seen Brendan Rodgers' press conference today. Basically said, if it was up to him right now at this minute, he'd get rid of VAR. I think he's spot on the money. And that's not because it's Brendan Rodgers saying it. You know my views on it. If you've been watching me long enough, I opposed VAR ever being introduced to the game. I hated the idea of it coming into the game. And ever since its inception in the game, I've wanted rid of it. I think it destroys the natural beauty of football. I think that it's made football a tough watch, both at home and in the ground. I think it's killing our game. I think it's killing football year by year. I hate it. And I think Brendan Rodgers is bang on the money when he says if it was up to him, he'd get rid of it. It's so flawed, not only in Scotland, but in England, but in Europe. It doesn't work. It's far more problematic than what football was before it was introduced. I think, personally, and I think it's killed the experience. I'm an old school guy, I'm only 23, but I love my old school stuff. I love everything about the old game. And we're just developing at a frantic pace, which is taking football away from being football, in my opinion. I think that technology and all these different things are just coming in and killing the game. Now, there's certain bits of technology I'm absolutely fine with. I'm fine with goal line technology, which can tell if the balls went over the line or not. I'm fine with that. But I think that year by year we get further away from what football truly is. It's becoming more commercialised, Americanised. It's becoming a strange game to me, and VAR is a massive part of that. Money has killed the game. VAR has killed the game. Yeah. So let's see. What other questions can we get? No, actually, I'm a boots opticians, man. Myself, Ooga Booga. I'm not a Specsavers, man. Looking forward to Rome. Well, I don't know if I'll be even going anywhere because we don't know the ticket situation. They're apparently doing QR codes, and, you know, if I can't get a ticket, then I'm not going to go away over. So I don't know what's going to happen yet. The only way I'm paying £65 to get to the Hydro is if Led Zeppelin reform. Fair enough. Fair enough, mate. Yeah, Hydro's a decent wee venue and all that, but you can't justify charging Celtic supporters £65. That's dearer than a game. That is dearer than a football match. £65 to watch a Player of the Year ceremony. That's nonsense. It's dearer than a match, and it shouldn't be. What is it? It's like a two-hour event where you watch people walk up and down a stage and get a fucking trophy. No, thank you. It's not the Oscars. Thanks very much. Do you think we will be able to take 3 points from Lazio and Feyenoord? Ask me closer to the time. See what the team's looking like, because no luck, we'll fucking another 10 or 20 players will be injured. So let's just wait till closer to the time, John. But look, I'm hopeful that we can win one of the games. Whether or not it'll matter, we'll need to wait and see. But yeah. Listen, I kind of agree with that to an extent, Kieran. I think that obviously the biggest problem is the people that are using the technology, but I just don't think the technology has to be there in the first place. I really don't. I think VAR could be operated by artificial intelligence and it would still ruin the game. So it's just not for me. I'll never be on side with it. I've never been close to being won over by it. You know, we have the podcast every week and everybody knows Ryan McGinley is like, this isn't me taking a dig at Ryan McGinley, by the way, in case you're watching, Ryan. I've always found that Ryan, compared to me, is a very progressive football fan. He likes a lot of the modern aspects of the game. He was very pro VAR, I felt, in the early days of it, and he's always been about his stats and just the progressive side of football, whereas me, I like the nitty-gritty. I miss the throwbacks. I miss the hard tackling. I miss the cheating. I miss all that. You know? Like, not cheating like Rangers style cheating, but I miss a wee, you know, somebody getting away with a wee handball here and there. You know, fuck VAR. That's what made football beautiful and made it so unique. Diego Maradona's hand of God. Imagine that never ever happened because a VAR official went, oh no, he handballed it. We wouldn't have one of the best moments in football history. And that just doesn't sit right with me. Diego Maradona's hand of God is the greatest moment in football history. And you know what? If you think it's cheating, cool. I think it's fucking hilarious. So, I like it. And I miss it. Mr. Celtic 12, £5. Thank you very much. As you know, Ryan, I have been negative in regards to Brendan Rodgers, as felt if you're going to bring in a manager of high level, you have to back him properly. Well, he needs backed. January, I said this in my video yesterday, I think that we are quickly now realising that this window coming up, or windows, I would extend it over to the summer, are very important. Two of the very most important transfer windows we'll see in recent times at Celtic. Up there with probably the rebuild, when Ange came in, is a very important window because it really kind of determines whether or not the board actually match Brendan Rodgers' ambition of wanting to challenge in Europe. Again, this year was probably hard with the transition and scouting players that were maybe made for Ange, but next year it's Brendan, it's him, and they've got to back him. So we'll see. What other questions have we got? When's FM content coming? I've not even got the game yet, but hopefully I'll get some FM stuff sorted over the next wee while. I'm not going to make any promises yet. I need to finish the FIFA career mode first, but the second channel's always there, of course. Elliot says, it feels like the board hate the fans. More and more each year we are subject to pumping more money into the club, and then they turn around and disrespect the same people that make the club what it is. Couldn't put it better myself. I could not put it better myself. I feel, and I've been very honest with my opinions on the Celtic board on this channel, and some people don't like it, some people do like it. You know, some people criticise me and say that they've done a great job running the club, and business-wise, yeah, they have. Have they matched the ambition of the Celtic supporters who pump money into the club every year and follow them home and away? I don't think so, and I think that's the honest truth. And I wouldn't hide that or mask that, because I think that's what it's. I just think that's what it is. I was looking forward to VAR to stop us getting continuously poor decisions against us in big games. Look how that's worked out. Yep, exactly. It's worse, isn't it? We're getting more decisions against us, more mind-boggling decisions. So it's just so frustrating. Yeah, I'd rather go to a game than it as well, talking about the ceremony. This January window is vital, says Kieran. And Brian says we need to back Rodgers massively in January and next summer. I really do think he's going to be gone by the end of season 2. This season, he's been done dirty by the board. I was thinking, and I'll bring up Mr. Celtic's comment first as well. £5. I feel for Brendan Rodgers as he's not getting the tools. Do you think we might need to replace Hart in January? He was saving stuff from inside his goal on Tuesday. Well, there was all the talk. We're going to probably talk about it later next week. The Andre Gleeson links have came back up again because apparently he's, accepting the fact that he's leaving Real Madrid soon. And who knows, that might be for Celtic, it might not be. But, yeah, I feel for him not getting the tools. I was going to make a comment before we finish up tonight. And thank you for the donation again, Mr. Celtic. You're too kind. Do we know when Rocky is back? I don't know. God knows. He was due back, but not seen him anywhere, so God knows. I think that what Brendan Rodgers has been doing this season has been wildly underappreciated at times. People have been very quick to jump on the gun and say that football's been stale at moments and football's been not easy on the eye. But with the really kind of mixed backing that he's got by the board, with the injuries that he has faced, I could sit here all day and run through the injuries, couldn't I? You've had the whole back line basically out. You've had Hatate be out. You've had MAEDA, Abada be out. You've had probably like 9 of the 11 starters face injury this season. So you add all these things together, and then the incredibly tough run of games that Rodgers had. So our start to the season has been mental. Aberdeen at Pittodrie, Livy at Livingston, Rangers at Ibrox, Hearts at Tynecastle. We've had the toughest games to open this season. And this is not me giving the usual Brendan Rodgers bum licking that I usually do, but I genuinely think that so many managers that Celtic could have employed or anybody else would have fell to the sword and just collapsed. The football might have been stale at times, but when you add all these things together, injuries, lack of backing and a tough schedule, I don't think a lot of managers in this game, in the professional level of football, would have been able to do what Brendan Rodgers has done to start our season. Because we're unbeaten in the league. And I don't think it's appreciated enough, just because the football maybe hasn't been beautiful to watch at times. What a tough run it has been to start this season. And with everything that's been thrown at him, we have handled it near perfectly. Maybe not in Europe. Right enough. That's a different story though. But it's madness. Blake says, money towards that £90 jacket. Claim it back in tax though. Thank you. I know, I really should. Thank you, Blake. I do appreciate it. Right, I'm going to wrap up there because we have went over the half-hour mark and I want to keep it at a watchable length for people who might want to watch this back. So thank you to all 180 of you who have been tuning in tonight. It's really much appreciated. We should be back on the channel tomorrow with a match preview ahead of Aberdeen, and then obviously after the Aberdeen game we'll have our match reaction on Sunday. So thank you very much for your support. I'm glad to be back into things. We'll not think about the international break quite yet. We'll wait just now. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Cheerio, lads. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm not even